When Nerf N Series was announced and ultimately deployed, it was way too easy to jump on the whole Hasbro sucks, Hasbro made a crazy bad decision, Hasbro's going down this time bandwagon. However, when looking deeper into the whole thing, it all starts to make sense. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you like the content we put out, please hit the subscribe button. YouTube makes it really easy for you guys to get notified of all of our content, regardless of being subscribed. Subscribing is literally just a support tool for us creators and to keep all this content going. And I really appreciate you for it. Hasbro has no shortage of hardships and tribulations when it comes to brand development and successful brand launches and maintenance. They've gone through this road before. This is why it was kind of a tough pill to swallow, the fact that they would not only do this again, but at such a fundamental level that would completely pivot their company away from everything they have stood for, at least for the last 2 decades, at least in the Nerf line of toys. This led me to dig deeper and find out exactly what was going on here. When examining the Ultra line and its launch, we know there was a lot of good reception in both the consumer casual and the hobby enthusiast side, but we know there was a lot of downsides as well. They put 8 years plus on an FPS line that otherwise would be trivial to some parents. Some parents didn't want their 8-year-olds playing with these high impact darts. Their foam density and their inconsistency with performance would ultimately lead to the brand's downfall, which we're now hearing Ultra is completely done. I don't have confirmation of that, but that also makes sense. The dumpster fire that was Elite 2.0, basically just a slap in the face to us consumers and enthusiasts who knew that it was just basically a new coat of paint on what otherwise was just Alpha Strike. Hasbro knew that cutting costs at these levels were not going to carry the brand for long. So what they ultimately decided to do was actually more clever than a lot of us care to admit. It's easy to rule out that Hasbro is just bringing out more and more types of ammo as a cash grab strategy. But when looking into the N Series launch in particular, it looks more and more like a consolidation of brands rather than them just adding another sub-brand. We take a look at the characteristics of the Ultra Dart and its relationship to this new N1 Dart. There's a lot of similarities. However, the N1 Dart ultimately wins in a lot of areas because of its softness and foam characteristics, which make it more ideal for indoor play and family play, something that Ultra did not make very possible with its harder dart characteristics. That plus the fact that this dart performs better makes it seem like Hasbro kind of hit 2 or 3 birds with one stone. We've seen the 2-shot Smart AR before on blasters like the Crosscut and the Double Strike, and it seems like this was probably the best combination other than the 3-shot Smart AR, in which you lose less FPS per barrel. And they seem to have maximized this technology with the Ward. I am going to do a completely separate review for this blaster in particular because it's kind of strange how Hasbro did such a great job on what otherwise is just a $5 blaster that I wasn't able to replicate or see on its other larger counterparts. More on that later on the Ward's review. However, they seem to capitalize on the technology of Smart AR with this offering. This offering does have a 2-shot Smart AR, but the FPS loss between barrel 1 and barrel 2 is almost next to nothing with my findings. And this blaster, as well as most blasters in this new platform, also shoot 90 FPS as a new standard average. So this comes to show us Hasbro kept the speeds of Ultra, perfected a new kind of dart, and the 2-shot Smart AR system. It's almost like they funneled 3 different appeals, one coming from the Zombie Strike, Crosscut, and Double Strike, the other coming from the main Elite and Elite 2.0 lines, and then the third coming from Ultra, and just consolidated 3 types of branding and technology into one permanent new mainstream brand, which would end up being N Series. So if Hasbro is really serious about this and this is going to be the new staple, they stick to it and they continue to improve and innovate, this would probably be a good alternate option for foam flingers that are not too crazy into competition. Those would obviously stick to the normal 50 cal standard, and Hasbro would ultimately alienate themselves as the market holder for the casual gameplay and toy section of that market. As it has been discussed many times, from a corporate approach, they made a smart decision. They gave us a new dart that shoots harder and better than the original, which would appeal to people that are a little bit slightly higher than just an average casual consumer, and blasters that are overall, for the most part, more reliable while still maintaining peak performance, which would appeal to families and other casuals that like indoor or backyard play. When I connected all these dots, I basically came to the conclusion that N series encompasses things that Hasbro has tried to do before, but instead of just making another line to try to introduce a new type of blaster or ammo system, they just changed their mainstream line to encompass characteristics from all these lines that had little micro successes on their own, make it all in one package. And I think they were able to achieve that to an extent. Again, I'm going to cover this in the next review. This is actually a fantastic little blaster, and I'm going to talk about it. This is one of the reasons I'm doing a review on this one, probably next week. I'm not saying it's going to be the do-all, be-all dart and blaster line going forward, but to preserve their own legacy of innovation, I think Hasbro made a corporately sound decision with this. We'll just have to see how it works out with them in the long run, with how well these perform on the shelf, and if they plan on continuously improving and adding to the line in the future. But again, these are just my findings. These are just my own personal revelations upon looking a little bit more further and deeply into this whole N series thing. I just didn't want to accept that a company would literally try to destroy themselves for no reason. So this consolidation theory seems to align a lot better with what it seems they're doing. But I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about this decision as a whole from Hasbro. Do you kind of see all these other brands being encompassed by the N series in spirit like I did, or do you have your own take on it? I would love to know what you guys think. If you did enjoy this video and you're looking forward to the next one, you're definitely gonna like this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay blasting, foam fans.